Hi everybody, Jo here. Thanks so much for popping in. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good day and I hope you're feeling well. I know a few of you have been under the weather recently, so if you need a big hug, pop along to Lavinia and we'll give you that extra special hug. Now, have you seen the new stamps we've got? We're feeling a bit festive at Lavinia at the minute. And look, I thought I'd come along and share this design with you. And I am totally in love with our gorgeous little mouse here. And he's called Pipspell. And oh, just look at that face. Just wonderful. And I know you clever lot, you are going to come up with so many ways of using this fabulous new collection. And the good thing is, it already goes with the stash you've got. So I've brought in the mini holly look. I mean, think of all the designs you can do. So I'm going to get straight in. What amazes me with this is I've mounted this obviously on a couple of larger pieces of card, but it all starts off as an A6 look, one of our lovely A6 pieces of Multifarious card. And when I'm getting it out, I really did get it out and I was like, is that the right size? And I physically had to put it on top, look, because it amazes me on such a small piece of card almost, how much detail we can fit on. And I think for me this year, smaller cards is going to be the way forward, especially for Christmas. I'm thinking postage and, you know, but I just think the detail in these stamps. So I'm going to start and I'm going to stamp and I'm going to use Versafine Clair, the Nocturne. So lovely permanent ink, gives great detail. And again, now a little tip, when I get my new stamps, I stamp them first on copy paper, just because for me, it almost gives me a feel of the stamp and lets me sort of just get to know it. I call it, now don't laugh at me, I call it my little introduction to the stamp. So we're just going to pop you about there. And again, don't be in a rush to lift your block up, give the ink time to soak in. There's so much detail here. As you know, I have a couple of pieces of copy of paper underneath, just because stamping's my weak point and the copy of paper really helps me just almost feel a bit more confident. It's my little safety blanket. I think we all need one of those at times, don't we? But look at that. Just let me, if I can, show you the detail there. How stunning is that? I just think the little face, look. So I'm going to add a little bit of foliage. And we've got this lovely new stamp called the Everdusk Tree. Now, you know me, the hardest bit is learning the names. And I'm trying to get them right. I'm trying to be good. Now, as well as a lovely tree, this is great for just sort of hanging foliage. So as you can see, look, beautiful tree, but we can also, and again, I'm just going to turn this round and I just want the design coming in here, just from the top. And I find it easy just to turn my work. I mean, you know, we're all different, but I just find, I mean, I know some of you clever lot can move your blocks and your stamps round. Oh, it messes with my head, that. So I find it easier just, we'll have a little bit there. And then I just want a little bit more, just catching this bit here. Just to make that lovely corner design. And I'm going to have, hanging off the corner design, we've got sugar pine cones, and there's 3 sizes. This is the smallest of the 3. And for this, I'm going to come in with, well, I thought I'd go pine cone, because after all, they are sugar pine cones. So I'm just going to sort of just stamp at various places. So we'll have one there. And again, there's so much detail. And we'll have one, I think, hanging there. And the thing is with this, I don't want to get carried away and have too many, because I know that I'm going to bring in that mini holly. So I think we just need a couple more, maybe one just sort of part way there. And then I think it'll be nice just to have one sort of on the edge there. It extends the design that way. I'm just going to give that a wipe and a dry. And then in with the little mini holly. And for this, I've gone for a lovely green, and this one's the Shady Lane, or Shady Lady as she is in my head. And again, I'm just going to move my work round and just going to add some holly where I think it would look nice. And again, you can let the lovely tree stamp give you an idea. And what I tend to do is add a little bit of holly, and then look, now look, there's a little black mark there. Did you notice that? Some naughty little imp has put a black mark there. So we'll put some holly there and nobody will ever know. And I'll just carry on, and we'll add a couple more. One there, I think. One there. Now the beauty with this tree is, obviously I'm going holly. This is a Christmas design, but we've got so many mini different leaves, berries. So again, I know depending where you live, you've got different trees. So, you know, you can decide with what leaves you want on your tree. And the beauty of it is, because we've just got the bare tree, you can make it any time of year you want. Right, stop there, missus. Walk away from the holly. And what I'm going to do is just give that a blot now. Remember, your Versafine Clair is a slower drying ink, so we just want to blot it. Because next I'm going to add some landscape. And I have got a little bit more stamping to do around here, but I'm thinking I'll go with the landscape first, and then I can almost, for me, that gives me a better idea of where to put that extra stamping. So I'm going to come in first with one of our acetate circle masks, and I'm going for the smallest one. And I'm going to put the moon just peeping behind the tree here. And I'm going to come in with blue Lagoon. So as always, ink in the brush, but then just blend that in the lid. And if it's a new ink pad, it's really important to blend in that lid. Otherwise, because they're so juicy, they've got so much pigment, so much colour, if you're not careful, you can have too much ink and you get lines. So the best tip I can give you is blend. And because it's a non-slip matte look, the Lavinia matte, fabulous, you've got your two hands free. You don't need to hold your lid. So going to start at the bottom and just blend that ink around the moon. And I'm sort of just being mindful to mind where those lovely pine cones are. Take the mask off, turn it round, and so we've got the lovely blue colour in the sky. Now, because we've got snow here, I'm going to do this slightly different to how we normally do our landscape. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a little bit of blue just under here. Just a little to give me an idea. And then because we've got snow, I'm going to add the sky. And what's nice is if we look to make a nice design, if I have a hill there, it doesn't work as well. But if I turn it round and we have a dip there, what you'll find is that looks more pleasing to the eye because it follows that shape there. Maybe I'll just bring it under the bauble there. Yeah, happy with that. So I'm just going to use the mask. And so we're actually adding the sky, not the snow. But because we've got that sky, it gives us the idea that we've got the snow there. And we've got a little bit of shading here. So what I'm going to do now, I like that. And what I've found is for a sky for winter, if I bring in some violet chalk, it makes it look more of that sort of snowy sky. You know, in winter it gets sort of a little bit of purple and pinks in it. If you haven't got violet chalk, confetti works well. Again, blend in the lid. And I'm just going to blend. I'm not going to go right across. Just a little bit of almost so it's purple cloud. I'm just going to take it across the moon here. Little bit here. I'm not going over the whole area, just so it gives us those lovely tones. And then at the base, just going to add a little bit of purple across the bottom, and then just a little bit sort of under the mouth, because the sky, the colour's reflected in the snow. And I just think those tones work so well together. So that's the landscape finished. So now I'm going to add that little bit of stamping. As I say, it just gives me a better idea of where I'm going. And we've got a lovely set, the winter foliage. And this has got a twiggy piece and almost a leafy piece. That's the way they are in my head. So, and I'm going to use black for the twiggy piece. Now, I couldn't decide black or brown, so in the end I went for black, but it would look just as nice in the brown. And we'll have a twiggy piece here. Now, what you can do is tear yourself a little piece of copy paper. So here, I'll have a twiggy piece, and then just the top bit of the twiggy piece. You see, technical stuff, isn't it? And back to the green then. And what's nice is it will make a lovely cohesive design using the same colours as the top and the bottom. And this, to save using a lighter ink and a darker ink, I'm just going to use my first and second generation, just to give myself, look, that lovely grouping there. And here we'll have the same first, some second, and even some third generation. And it just means we've got that lovely little bit of shrubbery growing. So once again, we'll give that a blot. Just such a good habit to get into. And now we're going to add some colour. And I'm just going to grab myself a little piece of kitchen roll to lean on, just to try and stop adding some marks. And in fact, I've got a bit of ink on my mat, so we'll wipe that up, just so that, again, try and eliminate. I want to try and keep my snow clean. So Modulars pencils, and I've got the numbers 1, now these are in no particular order, 33, 29, 19, 18, 30, 4 and 131. And I've just gone for a selection. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, with the pink, I'm just going to add a little bit of just on the inside of his ear here, look. And I tend to keep the pencils in my hand as I'm going. And what I'm going to do, a little bit of pink on his nose there. And we all have different ways of colouring. You know me, I do a bit of a cheats colouring. Mona is amazing with these pencils and does the most fabulous colouring. I'm a bit of a cheats girl, I'm afraid, but we're all different. So I'm just adding a little bit of yellow, and then I've got a light brown here. Now, Tracy's drawn such detail here, so these light bits at the front, I'm just adding the browns and the yellows. And what I think is it almost makes it look like you've got highlight as well from the moon. And he is sort of yellows and browns. And once I've got that lighter colour, I'm going to come in with a darker brown and just bring in his fur some lovely darker brown. Now, while I've got the dark brown, just going to add a little bit to the twig here and also turn it round. And again, I find it easier to just turn my work rather than lean across. I've learnt over the years, if I'm not careful, if I lean across things, I can get ink on my hands, and before you know it, it'll end up on my work. The pine cones, now I could colour those brown, but the detail, I'm going to use the white bits highlight as snow. So that's my theory there. Now, this beautiful bauble, I'm going to go for dark blue. And I'm just going to add around the edge, the base, beautiful dark blue. And then come in with a lighter blue and blend those colours together. And if I want, I can go back in with a darker blue. And you see how it just helps give it that shape. And what I like is if I come in with the white and just blend those colours together. I think that really helps. But I tend to just clean the end of my pencil, look, and then I can go onto our lovely mouse here and just, again, blend those colours together. Just going to come in, and at this point, I just can add a little bit more detail, look. Just think I need a little bit more. And you will take your time. Add a little bit of shape there and just blend that brown in. And I love the way that goes into that yellow. So I'm just going to put my pencils down for the minute, and I'm going to bring in a couple of my beautiful Signo pens. These are the Uniball ones, and I've got a bronze here. And so for the fastenings, look, just looks nice on the lamp. And then with the red, I'm going to colour the berries. Now, it might be at this point you suddenly think, Jo, I wish I'd not stamped as much holly because there's a lot of berries to colour. So I should have really said to you, when you're stamping your holly, think of how many berries you've got to colour. Now again, I do a bit of, I purposely leave a circle, look, I sort of do circular motions with my berries because I find that adds to the white highlight. And I know you lot are going to be watching this and you're going to be saying, Jo, you've missed one of those berries. I find, you know, I nearly always miss a berry. And I've even done it, I've actually been writing Christmas cards. And as I've been getting ready to put them in the envelope, I've looked and I've thought, oh, I missed colouring that in. And so I now always take a red pen with me just in case I need, it's almost like marking my own work, in case I need to add any more berries. Right, I think, have we got them all? Well, we'll say we have, but do you know what? Shout out if I've missed any. And we've got lovely orbs in this. So I'm just going to add with the bronze. Now it could be you want to add these white, silver. I'm just going to stay with the bronze. I like those bronzy tones. And we're just going to add a couple of, you know what, it gets to that stage where it's time for those finishing little touches. So what I'm going to do, just going to look for my circle mask, and I'm going to put this back on, and I'm going to add some little water flecks in the sky. So my brush, my fan brush is in my water pot, and just in the sky I just want some little water splats. So I'm adding these now so they can be faux bleaching. Lift that up. I just want to protect the moon a little. She says I can't lift it up. So we'll dry that. Now that can be faux bleaching just while I add a little bit of shade here. So normally with my pastel pencil I would go black. But for the snow, what I found is this lovely light blue and this grey work really well. So just under where we've got our foliage, and just to add a little bit of shade here. I'm just bringing in a little bit of the grey, and again, just look which way, and then a little smudge. And you can just have a look and see. I think we'll have a little bit more. Don't want too much because I like the way we've got the snow. Now I might just put a little bit here, just smudge it with my finger, just so it's not too white. We've almost got a little bit of something in the snow. Just takes that, gives it a bit more shape. Right, so that's my pastel pencils. And then my lovely uni ball, just add a couple of highlights. Oh, look at him. Honestly, he's just stunning. And I just love these little extra details. Now, you can, if you want, just go over as an extra touch, add some white highlights on beautiful pine cones and also on your berries. But as I say, I find if I leave a little white in the middle, it saves me, I don't have to do that. That's a little tip for you. Just going to give him a give him a bit of shape there with that leg. And I know it's a little extra touch, but with my black micron pen, just so that I can see his tails flicking, look, as he's looking up. I mean, what's he looking up at? What do you think? I mean, have you got the little robins? You could put a little robin in the tree. You could be looking up at that. There could be a charm, one of the Christmas charms hanging. Now, I'm just drying that faux bleaching. And I'm just going to give my card a very quick little dry with my heated up tool. Again, dry front and back. At home, you could pop off and make yourself a little brew. But what I find is if I dry it, because the last two finishing touches, we're going to add some snow with this lovely crystal paste. Now, have you seen this snow? I just think it's fabulous. It dries really hard, but I tend to leave it overnight to dry. So I know you're going to ask me, I'm not sure how long it takes to dry. Just because I leave mine overnight, I find it best. But I just think it adds such a lovely touch. So, a little bit of posca snow first. And again, just this is a little bit where to tap it. Hold it close. And again, you'll find the posca will stay white if your elements inks are dry. Remember, they're dye-based. And also, it's like the snow. It will stay whiter if it's dry. If not, some of the colour will be absorbed into the posca and into the lovely crystal paste. So if it was me, I would leave this, go off, as I say, have that brew, come back. But we're going to do it today, all in one go, so don't worry, I promise I'm not going to leave you. Crystal paste. I'm just going to open it to the side. It has a little protective lid on. And I've got to admit, I struggle sometimes. I have dodgy hands, so I've found it's dead easy with these. Look, there we go. Some long nose pliers, just take that off. Now, this is what the paste is like. As you can see, I love it. And yes, I am sad I have got another jar ready because this one, I don't want to not have any for this Christmas. It's great on your baubles, on cards, on tags. Lots of ways you can spread it. You can use a little pokey tool, you can use a palette knife, but I find if I treat myself to a cheeky coffee, and then this for me is a lovely way. And what I tend to do is just put it where the snow is going to land. So just on the top there, look, on the top of that fir cone. Maybe on a little bit of the holly. And I tend to pick up less. I think if you put, well, I found for me, if I put too much on my little wooden tools, it sort of ends up too almost claggy. So I find it's easier for me to work just with little bits. So we'll go on top of this cone, on top of this cone here, little bit on the holly, and obviously it would just catch on top of the bauble. And like I say, and a little bit in that V there, you will spend a lot longer than me. Just take your time and add it. So here we'll have some on the ground. And if you're worried about your shading, this is fabulous. Just put it on the bits you don't like, but shh, don't tell anybody I said that. So again, we'll have some on that shrubbery and a little bit underneath. Just a little bit more there. And then a little bit here. And I think the thing is, it just looks nice in little bits like this. And you use so little. Where I put that bit of pastel there, I'm just going to add a little bit there for extra interest. And I just want to catch on his little nose, look. So I'm just going to be, there we go. So delicate. I don't want that bit. Push that bit on. And maybe a little bit on his ear. Again, just hold your breath. Yeah, if you just hold your breath. There we go. I don't want too much. Right. Maybe a little bit more on the tree here. And then I think that's enough with the snow. Just on that lovely branches as it would catch. Right, I want to use this bit up because I am that sort of person. I can't put it in the bin. It's such lovely stuff. And just going to move this to the side for 1 minute. A little tip, you need to put this protective lid back on when you've finished. I find it's easier if you hold the lid and almost pop it on like that. And another little tip, don't press it in the middle. I did, and the lid went right in the pot. So I found the best way is just go all the way around, almost using both thumbs at the same time. And then it clicks beautifully. Give it a wipe over your bin, not over your work. I have made that mistake. Check it's properly down. That keeps it airtight, lid back on, and that'll be good to go for next time. So if I bring this back in to show you, and as I say, that will dry. Honestly, it's fabulous stuff. Now look at that. So that's the one we've created, and here's the one I created earlier. And as I say, it dries so hard. So you would be able to post this. I have checked and it goes through the post, not a problem. As I say, great if you're doing your MDF hanging baubles, if you're doing the beautiful Lavinia baubles, just have fun with it. It's lovely stuff. But also, have fun with these new stamps. I just know that you are going to love them as much as we have. So enjoy the next few days, enjoy all the inspiration that the Lavinia creatives bring you, and share your mates please, because we love to see what you're doing. So you take care. Love and hugs from me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.